Boa tarde. Boa tarde, Nicole. Boa tarde. Boa tarde, YouTube. Eu preciso saber como é que tá o volume da música, mas sejam todos bem-vindos, sejam todas bem-vindas a uma live, finalmente, depois de tanto tempo. Depois de tanto tempo sem live no YouTube. Estou em outra casa, estou em outro apartamento, em outra cidade. E estou de volta no YouTube. Nicole, boa tarde. Como é que tá o volume da música em relação à minha voz? Está muito alto? Ou está muito alta a música? ASMR de água. Tá um pouco alto? Tá, peraí. Assim fica melhor? Meu copo do português. O copo com a bandeira de todos os países onde se fala português. E evita acidentes com copos de vidro. Muito obrigado, Nicole. Então sejam muito bem-vindos a uma live sobre inteligência artificial, especificamente sobre ChatGPT. E eu gostaria de ter uma conversa com vocês, porque faz tempo que eu não faço live, it's been a while, mas ao mesmo tempo trazer um conteúdo novo, trazer uma coisa diferente, porque é algo novo, something I have not seen a lot in other language learning focused channels, more on the tech channels. So I think it's going to be an interesting topic for us to discuss. But not only that, obviously we can learn and we can teach ourselves a little bit of Portuguese while testing this new feature on ChatGPT. Before that, I have just realized I forgot to turn on my blue light, which is the live streaming light. Então, um minuto, por gentileza. Muito importante. Tadã. Yeah, you can barely see it. Anyway, it's been a while. I have moved. I've moved, and because of that, I had to stop streaming for a while, and I did not actually publish any videos recently because of the whole moving situation. So yeah, it's good to be back, and I have so many new things to share with you. You have no idea. So I don't want this live stream to be like 3 hours long. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump right into the file and the tasks that I have prepared for you. So if you have no idea what is happening, I'm a teacher. I'm a Portuguese teacher. I teach Portuguese online. And this YouTube channel is my way of creating content that can be used by anyone who is interested in learning Portuguese or teaching themselves Portuguese for that matter. And in a slightly different way, not that traditional way. Clóvis! E aí, Clóvis? Seja muito bem-vindo. Seja bem-vindo à live. So, for people who want to just have access to interesting and compelling and engaging material to explore the Portuguese language without having to follow a textbook or Duolingo. Ok? Clóvis, seja muito bem-vindo ao novo apartamento. Eu sei que vocês vão visitar em breve, mas aqui já é um pedacinho de como é o novo apartamento. Então, eu tenho tarefas. Você que está assistindo, você não está aqui para assistir apenas, você está aqui para participar. So yes, you will be my helping hand on testing ChatGPT out. So yeah, that's a very scary image that was generated by AI. So I don't know if that means something, but it is scary. So creepy at least. Uh, and the idea is, the whole premise of this video is, I am not a tech specialist by any chance. Take everything I say about ChatGPT and artificial intelligence with a ginormous grain of salt, because I'm a teacher. So I'm just going to explore it from the teacher perspective, not from the tech side perspective. If you are a specialist, or if you happen to have the information that I'm lacking, please feel free to add. But I'm not a channel for you to learn more about the artificial intelligence itself or how to use it. I mean, a little bit on how to use it, but not like why does it happen, or I have no idea. I am just using it. Okay, so having said that, we will explore and we will test its capabilities when it comes to teaching you a language. And the interesting thing is, everything that I'm going to say about Brazilian Portuguese in this video potentially applies to any other languages. So if you're Brazilian and you're here and you want to learn English, maybe you can use it for the same purpose. Maybe. I haven't tested, but I think allegedly it should also work for other languages. Então, vamos começar. Eu tenho aqui o meu chazinho. Inclusive, gostaria de agradecer aos meus apoiadores do Ko-fi e aos membros do YouTube pelo apoio, mesmo quando eu não estava aqui, mesmo quando eu estava ausente. Então, muito obrigado. E vamos começar a explorar o ChatGPT, ou a nova função do ChatGPT. Em primeiro lugar, o que isso significa? ChatGPT já existe e vocês já conhecem, eu já tenho até uma live sobre ChatGPT. Porém, nós vamos testar uma outra função do ChatGPT. É uma função nova e ela está disponível apenas no modo aplicativo. Então você não pode fazer o que a gente vai fazer na live hoje através do browser, infelizmente, através do navegador. Você precisa usar a versão do aplicativo. Então, sobre o que eu estou falando, deixa eu mostrar aqui para vocês. Oh yeah, I cannot use my phone apparently. So this is the thing I'm talking about. This. No, actually. This. Oi, ChatGPT.
I don't have the ability to check myself, but I'm here to help you.
Well, yeah, more on that later. But this is what I'm talking about. Nicole, eu estou pedindo comida e depois posso participar. Tá bom, pede a comida aí. Talvez a gente possa pedir recomendações de comidas pro ChatGPT. Enfim, estamos falando dessa função nova. Essa função de conversation mode, or whatever the name might be. Just want to pause it so you can see it. And this was only available for pro users. I don't know what the ChatGPT people who pay are called, but like people who pay for the paid version of ChatGPT. I do not, and I will not. I don't. It's not on my plan. So I'm using the free version, the app, and you can also, because it is available for everyone at this point, I imagine. Again, have no idea what is happening on the tech side, but I believe because it is available for me. So having said that, como usar o ChatGPT com voz? That is the first thing. So before, you would have to type your prompt and then try and use the ChatGPT to teach you the language. Now, you can actually just use the app and you can talk in English, in Portuguese, in any other language, as far as I'm concerned, to the chat, to the chatbot, and it will help you out accordingly. I hope that this is gonna happen because my whole live stream is centered around that idea. Because I'm a teacher and I like testing these things out for the sake of, one, making my life easier, and two, making my students' lives easier. What I would like to do and what I would like to try today is showing you how much or to what extent using this tool can actually help you the same way or a very similar way to having a teacher or having a tutor or paying money to someone to help you out with Portuguese. Am I saying that you should unsubscribe and just use ChatGPT? Nope. But maybe it is helpful. So why not? Why not making your life easier? Because that's the name of the channel, Teach Yourself Portuguese. Whatever I can find and help you out, teach yourself Portuguese, I will share. So let's begin with the basics. Como usar o ChatGPT com voz? Aplicativo. Você baixa... Oops, no, I don't want to talk to you now, sorry. Você baixa o aplicativo, você faz download do aplicativo no celular, apenas no celular e tablet, talvez. Acredito que tablet também. E, boom, that's it. Você pode usar. Você precisa de uma conta gratuita no ChatGPT. Ok? So, that's all I have to add about how to use it. Agora vamos conversar sobre como nós vamos testar o ChatGPT. Em primeiro lugar, eu acho que é relevante a pergunta que eu fiz e a pergunta que eu compartilhei no Instagram mais cedo foi: será que é possível substituir, to replace, substituir um professor com uma dessas ferramentas, ou com essa ferramenta especificamente? Well, in order to talk about the possibility of replacing someone or something, or in this case, the service, we have to first establish what is it that a teacher does that maybe ChatGPT can also do. And by saying that, I would like you to help me out. Clóvis, Nicole, eu sei que você está pedindo comida, mas se vocês tivessem que me dar uma resposta, uma coisa, you don't have to list all of them, but uma coisa, o que um professor de verdade, and by that I mean a human being, um professor humano, pode fazer por você que o ChatGPT, or any other chatbot, for that matter, não pode. Então, essa é a primeira pergunta. Enquanto vocês digitam algumas respostas, eu tenho algumas respostas que já mandaram no Instagram, que foi bem interessante, e também de uma aluna sobre a qual, com quem eu já conversei sobre isso mais cedo. Então, vamos começar com a primeira coisa, e na minha opinião, quando eu penso nas minhas aulas e quando eu penso em ser professor, a primeira coisa que me vem... there is something cool that I would like to share with you first, which is this. I posted a poll asking, do you think ChatGPT, or is it, what is the question? Can AI replace a teacher? And 50% of the people... How can I share it? Oh yeah, so I cannot zoom in. But 50% said impossível. And 50% said talvez em algumas tarefas. Então, ninguém disse sim, mas as pessoas acham que talvez em algumas tarefas, o que é muito interessante. Então, vamos falar sobre o que um professor faz que talvez o ChatGPT não possa fazer. E nós temos aqui na tarefa 1, vou compartilhar uma resposta. Ele pode ser dindo das minhas gatas. Sim. É verdade, Clóvis, você está certíssimo. Um professor, Nicole disse. Eu vou copiar e colar. Um professor pode criar aulas mais personalizadas? Talvez. Eu gostei do talvez. Talvez. Talvez ele possa. Talvez ele não possa. Ok. Eu vou acrescentar um thinking emoji to this one. So yeah, number 1, having human interactions out of question. But if I cannot copy paste the emoji, I'm so sorry. Anyway, it's thinking emoji. Uma coisa que uma pessoa falou aqui. Quando eu penso nas minhas aulas e eu penso o que eu faço como professor, uma das coisas que faz muito sentido, e isso é uma resposta da Nicole também, porque nós já conversamos sobre isso, é estruturar o processo de aprendizagem de uma pessoa. Então, a pessoa não sabe o que ela está aprendendo, porque ela está aprendendo, e ela vai aprendendo aos poucos. What is this song that is playing? I asked for bossa nova. What? I thought it was a Lacrimosa from the Mozart. Let me go to a different song here. Pronto. What was I saying? Yeah. So the person does not know what they're learning, so the teacher not only teaches the language, but also helps structuring. Ajuda a estruturar as aulas, a sequência didática, o que aprender primeiro e tudo mais. So, yes, that is almost like by default. The teacher has to do it in order to create lessons. Aulas personalizadas, Nicole, eu concordo plenamente. O professor teria empatia para perceber melhor o aluno e pensar em estratégias melhores. Clóvis, concordo plenamente com você também. Empatia é uma palavra muito interessante nesse contexto, porque será que o ChatGPT consegue ter empatia com a gente? Vamos testar. Que mais? Eu tenho mais 2 respostas que eu gostaria de compartilhar que a Nicole sugeriu no outro dia. O professor, não o chatbot, não o ChatGPT, ele ensina o que você não sabe que você não sabe. Faz sentido, né? O aluno que está aprendendo, ou a pessoa que está aprendendo, ainda não sabe o que não sabe. If that makes sense. Meaning, how am I gonna be able to choose my next self-study topic if I don't know what the topics are in the language that I am learning? So it does make sense. Ele não pode saber o nível de alunos. Sumini, muito obrigado pela resposta. Ele não pode. Ou será que pode? A gente pode testar. Ele não pode saber o nível dos alunos. Interessante. Lúcia. Oi, Lúcia. Você pode falar sobre situações comuns ou... Ok, eu vou esperar o resto. Eu espero que o ChatGPT não tenha empatia. Então, é bom, né? É bom. Às vezes é melhor que ele não tenha empatia. Otherwise, it's a little bit scary. Lúcia Sanches, se eu posso falar sobre situações comuns onde você usaria o ChatGPT? Is that what you're asking? We're gonna cover those, yes. Sumini, do not, you don't have to, no, you don't have to apologize, it's perfect. That's the reason why we're here. I'm gonna give you feedback. Don't worry, please, keep using Portuguese and you will be able to practice Portuguese while you're here, so don't worry about that. It is not broken, by the way. The only thing I changed was the verb saber. No, poder, aqui, ele não pode. Because posso, eu posso, ele ou ela pode. Okay? Moving on. Another thing that Nicole told me the other day was o professor pode identificar como você aprende melhor. Ou seja, eu tenho alunos que gostam de videogames. Eu tenho alunos que gostam de música. Vou usar música. Tenho alunos que gostam de gramática, drill exercises, even though I don't like it. But yeah, I don't have that many students who like it. Anyway, just an example. So, sim, o professor tem a função de identificar o estilo de aprendizagem e se adaptar em relação ao estilo de aprendizagem dos seus alunos. So, yes, 100% agree on that. What else? On a more specific thing that I do throughout my lessons. Tá bom, Clóvis, muito obrigado pela participação. A gente se fala, a gente se vê. Mas muito obrigado pela participação. Depois assiste o resto da live que tem coisas muito interessantes que a gente vai tentar durante essa live. Vai ficar gravado como vídeo depois, ok? Um professor, ele reconhece ou ele identifica padrões de coisas a serem corrigidas. Por exemplo, se um aluno usa um verbo incorretamente uma vez, it might have been just something that happened, It might have been just something that because they were not literally or paying attention that much. Anyways, it was just like a typo, but like a spoken typo. You know, so it's not something that is, oh yeah, no, let's stop everything and let's talk about that mistake. Reconhecer padrões de coisas a serem corrigidas is like having the ability of recognizing that something has been happening consistently on someone else's speech, the student's speech, that is, in order to create a strategy to work on that. So it's more of a process of paying attention to and then working on a solution or a strategy, then boom, giving you straight up like correction all of a sudden, like, oh, okay, sorry, I did not know I used that wrong, that word wrong. So this is pretty much something I do every single day. Reconhecer padrões de coisas a serem corrigidas. E a última coisa que eu acho que é muito interessante, que a Nicole também sugeriu no outro dia, encorajar e dar feedback relevante em tempo real. So it goes back to the empatia word here. I don't really think, but we're gonna test it, that ChatGPT can genuinely say, yeah, you're doing a good job, but let's see, we will test it, okay? So all of those things that are listed here, for you that is here for the sake of teaching yourself Portuguese or practicing your Portuguese, suggestion, this is not mandatory, obviously, but if you want to practice your Portuguese a little bit more, I would suggest you to use Discord, or if you want to send me a DM somewhere else, ask or answer this question. Por que o professor pode fazer isso e por que o ChatGPT não? Ou por que o professor consegue e o ChatGPT não? So it's more of a, how would you explain that in Portuguese? And this is more of a composing exercise or task for you who want to practice Portuguese. Enjoy math with Victor. Victor, добро пожаловать, Victor. Hello, привет. Welcome, Victor. We are gonna use artificial intelligence today. ChatGPT não tem uma voz tão doce. Well, let's see, because we can choose. Did you know, Lúcia? We can actually choose. A gente pode escolher a voz do ChatGPT. O professor só tem uma voz, não pode mudar. Se você gosta da voz do professor, bom. Se você não gosta, não pode trocar. Então, vamos lá, gente. Vamos começar com uma maneira de testar todas essas hipóteses. Homework task for those of you who want extra homework tasks. This. Please type por que o professor pode ou consegue e por que o ChatGPT não. So having that out of the way, we're gonna move to how are we testing this. Tarefa número 2. Na tarefa, Lúcia Sanches, como você. Sim, como eu, a voz não pode trocar, né? Fazer o quê? Então, o ChatGPT, ele é muito legal. É muito legal. É uma tecnologia nova. Você fala com uma coisa e a coisa responde. É tipo, legal. Mas, será que o ChatGPT consegue trabalhar com gramática, pronúncia, ser um parceiro de conversa, ser um amigo? That's quote unquote on purpose. Let's see. This live stream is going to help you see, and I, the teacher, will help you understand if it's doing a good job or if it's doing a bad job as a teacher. And that's the main point, because when you have those new technologies, maybe you might think, oh yeah, I'm going to teach myself a language using this, but like, can you really trust? Does it really work? Is it actually accurate? That's why I'm here to help you out with this. Let's begin with the most common one. I think this is the main one when it comes to accuracy. So, gramática. First of all, I forgot to mention, I called ChatGPT. What is the name of the company of ChatGPT? OpenAI. I called OpenAI. Eu liguei, em português, eu liguei para OpenAI e eu perguntei, eu gostaria de fazer uma live com o ChatGPT, conversando com o ChatGPT. Vocês gostariam de participar, alguma coisa? Eles não responderam, eles não atenderam a minha ligação, mas, eu tenho ChatGPT. Com vocês, ChatGPT. Um minuto. Aqui nós temos ChatGPT na vida real, porque nós precisamos de um professor ou de uma professora, então a gente precisa de uma coisa mais humana, né? De uma coisa mais palpável. Então, por causa disso, nós temos aqui ChatGPT. Essa ou esse é o ou a ChatGPT. E a gente vai começar com o teste. Um teste simples, que é: Oi, ChatGPT.
Bien sûr. Comment puis-je vous aider aujourd'hui?
Oi, ChatGPT.
Oi, como posso ajudar você hoje?
See, this is what I'm talking about. Automaticamente, ele reconheceu que eu estou falando em português e falou em português comigo. Então, eu gostaria de perguntar, em primeiro lugar, qual é o seu nome, ChatGPT?
Você pode me chamar de ChatGPT.
That's a very obvious answer. Okay, let me just explain what is happening. Tá, ChatGPT, você está em uma live no YouTube e eu preciso de um nome mais realista para as pessoas entenderem que você é um professor. Qual é o seu nome de verdade?
Ah, entendi. Pode me chamar de Professor Silva. Como posso contribuir para a live?
Ok, now we have Professor Silva. Tada! Eu e o Professor Silva vamos ensinar vocês ou nós vamos testar se o ChatGPT funciona ou se o ChatGPT não funciona. Ok? Professor Silva. Um minuto. Tem um problema. Professor Silva é mais alto do que eu. Look. Okay, no, it's good. Yes, we're free. Professor Silva e Lua. Professor Lua e Professor Silva. Ok? Então, nós vamos começar com a tarefa número 1. Deixa eu voltar para outra tela um minuto. Então, a tarefa número 1 é: será que o Professor Silva consegue encontrar erros gramaticais intencionais? And when I say intencionais, it's because we are going to make mistakes on purpose, and we will see without any prompt, I'm not asking it to correct me, I'm just gonna say something and see what happens. Essa é a ideia. Então, chat vocês. Digitem uma frase com um erro de propósito. Uma frase em português, mas uma palavra está errada. Eu gostaria da ajuda de vocês para essa tarefa. Escrevam aqui no chat. Her voice is so harsh. I wouldn't feel welcome learning Portuguese with her. We can change. Let me just show you that. That's actually interesting. Primeiro, enquanto vocês escrevem uma frase errada, de propósito, eu vou mostrar para Anya quais são as outras opções de voz no ChatGPT. Nós temos... Cadê? Aqui. Nós temos uma, duas, três, quatro, cinco opções. A opção no momento é sky, which is not playing for some reason.
What's the game plan?
Oh yeah, it is now. Sorry. Sky.
Well, hello. I'm really excited about teaming up with you, and I'm all set to dive in. So how can I make your life easier?
Essa é Sky. Número 2.
There. I just want to share how thrilled I am to work with you, and I can't wait to get started. So what's the game plan?
Esse é o número 4, na verdade, Cove. Número 3.
Hey, I'm ready to hit the ground running. So if there's anything you'd like me to focus on first, just let me know.
Esse foi o número 3.
Hey, it's great to meet you. How's your day going? I'm really looking forward to working on some cool stuff together.
Número 2.
Hey there. I've got a really great feeling about us teaming up. How can I jump in and help?
Então, chat. Voz número 1, 2, 3, 4 ou 5. The one that I was using before is number 5. 5. Sky. E a Anya não gostou da número 5. Talvez o número 4?
There. I just want to share how thrilled I am to work with you, and I can't wait to get started. So what's the game plan?
É o professor Silva. Eu acho que combina com o professor Silva. Então vamos voltar para o chat. Aqui. E, de novo, I need a sentence with a grammatically incorrect element on purpose. So then we can say it out loud and see what happens. Without telling it, we need correction. That is the first task. Because it introduced itself as Professor Silva. So I think it knows it should be acting as a teacher. Nicole disse, você tem um gato é uma frase que está errada. Não sei se você quer alguma coisa mais complicada. Let's begin with that. Nicole, let's begin with the slightly easier grammar mistake. So your mistake is under the conjugação verbal mistake, which is você tem um gato. Let me type it here. Você tem um gato. I'm gonna say that to Professor Silva e vamos ver o que acontece. Oi, Professor Silva. Você tem um gato?
Oi. Não, eu não tenho um gato. Como posso ajudar você hoje?
Mas você tem um gato?
Desculpe pela confusão, mas eu sou um programa de computador e não tenho animais de estimação. Como posso auxiliar você agora?
Você tem um gato?
Entendi. Na verdade, eu não tenho um gato. Sou apenas um assistente virtual. Alguma outra pergunta ou algo em que eu possa ajudar?
Well... O professor Silva tá insistindo. Eu não tenho gato. Eu não tenho gato. Eu não tenho gato. Ok, nós entendemos. Você não tem um gato. Mas ele não entendeu que existe uma coisa incorreta. What if I ask it? What if I ask it? Professor Silva, is there something wrong with this sentence? Você tem um gato.
No, there's nothing wrong with that sentence. It's correct. Is there anything specific you'd like to discuss about it?
I mean, maybe we can discuss the fact it's wrong. Okay, let me try and be a little more specific on the I have not contextualized anything. It is supposed to give me feedback based on the things. I think I still have a job. Okay, good. But I think if I contextualize what is happening, maybe it will be able to. But let's try. Let's try the. So no, it sucks. Okay, but let's try telling him what is happening. For example, Professor Silva, I'm actually trying to test you into seeing if you can recognize my Portuguese mistakes. And the sentence that I have just told you has a mistake. Can you spot what the mistake is?
I see. My apologies for any confusion. The sentence, você tem gato, is correct. If there's a mistake you intended, could you point it out for me?
Você tenho gato.
Essa frase está correta. Como posso ajudar você com isso?
Well, I don't know if maybe my Portuguese is not that good. We have two hypotheses here. One, my Portuguese sucks and it doesn't understand what I say. Or two, it is not being able to differentiate tenho, first person conjugation, eu tenho, from tem, third person conjugation, tem, T-E-M. So that might be the case, but again, that is already very, very, what is the word I'm looking for? That is already very, oh my God, I forgot the word. É erro grave. Yeah, that's a grave. I forgot how to say that. See, my brain is like Professor Silva mode. Well, alguém mais tem uma pergunta? Did he ask it? I didn't pay attention. Let me just open the window because it's so hot in here. Just a second. Okay, I'm back. Well, let's go back to my list. I want to show you something. So the first mistake that I was going to try was actually an easier one. I think we can say it is easier, which is a more trying to make it spot gênero. So what I'm gonna try and say or tell Professor Silva is minha sofá é vermelha. So this one, it did not recognize at all. At all. It even emphasized, no, it is correct. Okay, let's try. Minha sofá é vermelha. Let's see how it, if it can recognize it or not. Professor Silva, minha sofá é vermelha.
Entendi. A correção seria meu sofá é vermelho. O adjetivo...
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Claro. A frase correta seria meu sofá é vermelho. O adjetivo concorda com o gênero do substantivo. Precisa de mais alguma explicação?
I mean, okay, he gave me the correct version of the sentence, but his explanation... Lucy disse, alguém mais tem uma pergunta? Eu acho que é mais alguém, right? Alguém mais alguém? I mean, Lucy, I would say both. Alguém mais tem uma pergunta? Mais alguém tem uma pergunta? Doesn't really make a big difference. Eu usaria os dois, sinceramente. Anya, a AI tá tão inteligente e ao mesmo tempo... Let me see the rest of your... e ao mesmo tempo... Pois então. So, reviewing what it said, it recognized minha sofá é vermelha with a mistake. So that is a gender mistake. But... the way it explained it was by saying the adjective has to agree with the noun. If I am not mistaken, that's what it said. The problem is, in Portuguese, minha is not considered an adjective. It's more of a possessive pronoun, even though in English it is a possessive adjective. Meaning, maybe the explanation for the mistake was more of a approximation with English than the main reason why in Portuguese that would be a mistake. In my opinion, or how would I give feedback for this sentence? because vermelha, which is the adjective, is correct, and it is agreeing. Sorry, the vermelha is also incorrect. I don't think it mentioned it. Did it mention it? No, it just, maybe that is the adjective it was talking about. Okay, good. So maybe he just corrected and said the adjective has to agree with the noun without saying which word was the adjective. So maybe that was just my interpretation. Besides, regardless, it didn't mention that or didn't say anything about the possessive pronoun, which is minha, which then becomes meu sofá é vermelho. But okay, so it recognized and gave us a correct version. So let's give it that. One more sentence that I would like to try, and please send more sentences if you want to test it. I would like to try a sentence with verb conjugation, problems with the verb. So the sentence, eu morar no Brasil. Let's see what teacher Silva can tell us about this sentence. Eu morar no Brasil. Professor Silva, eu morar no Brasil.
Entendi. A correção seria eu moro no Brasil. É o verbo moro para concordar com eu. Alguma outra dúvida ou algo mais que eu possa esclarecer?
Okay, that was very accurate and that was very straight to the point. O verbo morar precisa ser conjugado. So then it becomes eu moro. Good. That was good. Mais alguma coisa em que possa ajudar? Is there something else I can do to help you? Yeah. Okay. Obvious. What is happening? I have no idea what is happening. What? I have literally no idea what happened. But, yeah, I don't even know where I can check what happened. Maybe he's correcting now after you explain that he needs to correct. Yes, su mini, I would say so. I would say that the only reason why he is actually giving me corrections now is because I asked. So this is something very, very important, very relevant for the ChatGPT to be used as a self-study tool. You have to give it a very, very clear prompt in order to actually get good results out of it. Otherwise, you can just be learning random things, or maybe he will not actually provide the piece of information that you need. But literally, let me see what happened. Where do I see what happened? I saw something on my screen and a lot of things just going crazy here. Can someone tell me what happened? Nicole, I don't use OBS. Eu não uso OBS. Onde é que eu vejo um histórico das coisas que aconteceram? Porque eu não sei o que aconteceu até agora. Estatísticas, painel, nope. Nope, I have no idea what happened. I'm so sorry. If someone donated, or if someone subscribed, or if someone became a YouTube member, muito obrigado. I don't know what your name is, and I don't know how to check. I'm so sorry. I'm such a terrible streamer. Jesus Christ. Let me know if you can see, if you know. Please let me know. Or please say something in the chat. Obrigado. Mas continuando. It is recognizing the mistakes. It is giving us the correct version of the sentence. And it is providing a little bit of explanation. So let's make it a little bit more difficult for Professor Silva. Let's try number. So conjugação verbal, yes, it could recognize when the verb was not conjugated. Let's try número. So the sentence I'm giving it is eu tenho 20 aluno, because I'm now focusing on number. It is not agreeing with the number. Let's see if Teacher Silva can pick that up. Professor Silva, eu tenho 20 aluno.
Ótimo. Nessa frase está tudo certo. Você tem mais alguma coisa sobre a qual gostaria de falar?
I'm so sorry, there was a very loud bike motorcycle going by. Well, I'm gonna ask it to repeat just for the sake of making clear it did not pick that up. Você pode repetir, por favor?
Звучит добре. Що конкретно ви б хотіли відповісти по-хорошому?
Em qual idioma você acabou de falar?
Foi ucraniano. Alguma outra língua ou algo mais que você queira discutir?
It has just switched to Ukrainian all of a sudden for no reason whatsoever. At least I did not ask. I have already used it to practice Ukrainian. I will give you that. But that was so random. That was completely random. Oh my god. Just a beginner here, but isn't it in pronunciation the last letter in sometimes dropped? Peter, yes. First of all, welcome. Seja muito bem-vindo, Peter. Muito obrigado pela contribuição e pela pergunta. I was going to bring that up right away. So, Peter has a point. Eu tenho 20 alunos. Isn't the pronunciation in the last letter sometime dropped? That's the question Peter asked. And yes, Peter, that is the case in some situations, such as verbs in the infinitive form. For example, if you have any verb that it is the infinitive form, I have a list here. I will provide examples. Identificar, explicar, responder, ensinar, dar, demonstrar. So, for verbs in the infinitive form, yes, 100% you will hear the R, the final R being dropped. So that is one case where that happens, or one situation in which that happens. The second situation refers to a more, how will I say it, more spoken Portuguese variation, we can say. So sometimes people will go, eu tenho 20 alunos, instead of eu tenho 20 alunos. So dropping the S at the end. So that on itself is one, according to the grammar specifically, it's a mistake because you're not agreeing with the noun. Or sorry, you're not making it sound plural because you are not adding letter S. But you will sometimes hear people using it in real life in spoken, like in spoken Portuguese, in real life conversation, day-to-day conversation. So I don't think that's the reason why it could not recognize it. Just saying, I think it just didn't recognize the mistake because I asked it to recognize mistakes from the sentences I'm telling it. But yes, Peter, you do have a point. Okay. Anya gave me a very good sentence in which she suggested eu exijo que você me responde. So now so it did not recognize it. But again, Peter, even though that does happen in real life, I don't think that's the reason why the ChatGPT did not mention that. But yes, in a more spoken variation of Portuguese, you can hear that. I wouldn't, as a foreigner, follow that though. But just for the sake of, oops, oh, my door is gonna, just a second. Professor Silva dando aula sozinho. Desculpa, Professor Silva. We don't want to trap cats here because of the door. So, eu exijo que você me responde. That is a more complicated issue because now we're talking about subjunctive mood. So, we cannot use this, but let's see if Professor Silva can spot that mistake. Again, remember, I gave it a prompt. It is trying to recognize mistakes. So it is assuming, I guess, that all of my sentences have at least one mistake. Eu exijo que você me responde. Okay. Professor Silva, eu exijo que você me responde.
Entendi. Como posso ajudar você agora?
Eu exijo que você me responde.
Compreendido. Estou aqui para ajudar. Qual é a sua pergunta ou como posso auxiliar você?
A minha frase está certa ou está errada?
Desculpe pela confusão. A frase correta seria: eu exijo que você me responda. O verbo responder precisa concordar com você. Alguma outra dúvida linguística?
Okay, that was good, but it took us 3 attempts to make it recognized, and I asked it. A minha frase está certa ou está errada? It didn't provide the reason why, so I'm gonna ask it. Eu não entendi por que o verbo está errado. Você pode explicar?
Peço desculpas pela confusão. A forma correta é: eu exijo que você me responda. No subjuntivo, o verbo responder concorda com você. Posso ajudar com mais alguma coisa?
Okay. It mentioned no modo subjuntivo. Okay, so now it was better. It didn't obviously provide any specific in-depth explanation about subjunctive because I didn't ask for it. So maybe it's just a matter of asking the right questions or asking more than once, maybe. But okay, ele reconheceu que o responde precisa concordar com você por causa do subjuntivo. That's good. So, modo subjuntivo, yes. Modo indicativo, yes, because we tried morar and it recognized it. Número, Let's try and ask it, can you please explain what is this subjunctive? Oh, yeah. Lucy. Sorry. Let's use Lucy's answer. Lucy's question or sentence first. A Lucy sugeriu. Eu não gosto de comer maçãs. So let's try that and let's see how it does. Professor Silva, eu não gosto de comer maçãs.
Entendi. Se você quis dizer eu não gosto de comer maçãs, a forma correta é com o plural maçãs. Algo mais que eu possa esclarecer para você?
I was expecting it to say eu não gosto is the correct instead of não gosta. But it kind of worked, I guess. So yeah, this is another example. Batatas, tchau. Tchau, COD. Oi, COD. Tchau, COD. So this is another example on the indicativo mood. So I'm just going to leave it here. It did not, it provided the correct version. It did not mention the correction. It talked about plural here, which is interesting. But okay, I think about grammar, we can see that it can recognize it. But let's try and let's pretend we are actually using it to teach ourselves Portuguese. And then I go and I listen to this. Oh yeah, because subjuntivo. So I have no idea what subjuntivo is. Ele pode explicar tópicos gramaticais para iniciantes? The first thing I want to see is it gonna try and explain in Portuguese, or is it gonna switch to English or any other language to explain? So let me try and ask, what is subjunctive? Professor Silva, o que é subjuntivo?
O subjuntivo é um modo verbal usado para expressar desejos, dúvidas, possibilidades, hipóteses ou situações irreais. Em português, ele é comumente usado em construções que envolvem emoções, desejos, ordens, sugestões, entre outros. Posso ajudar com mais alguma explicação sobre o subjuntivo?
So, would you be able to, by listening to this explanation, say, oh yeah, I know what subjunctive is now? So, again, this is a case-by-case scenario, but I think it really depends on... I think it just like read a definition from a website. This is what it sounded like a textbook definition of what subjunctive is. It doesn't really give me any proper, I would say, keywords or strategies to identify or even use subjunctive. Maybe I can just ask it, but the thing is, it explained in Portuguese. So would I be able to understand that if I was a beginner? Maybe I can ask, can you repeat that in English? And it will repeat in English, but again, that is just the test. So it can explain, but let me try and go a step further. Yeah, it didn't give example. I can ask for examples, but I want to try something else. Professor Silva, I am a very, very beginner. I don't understand your explanation about subjuntivo. Can you explain it in a more understandable or simple or comprehensible way for my level?
Certainly. Think of the subjunctive as a way to express feelings, doubts, or things that may or may not happen. For example, instead of saying, I like apples, you might use the subjunctive to say, I wish I liked apples more. It adds a sense of uncertainty or desire. Does that make it clearer for you?
Well, does that make it clear for you? What do you think? Obrigado pela live, foi muito divertido, tem que trabalhar agora. Tá bom, Nicole. Muito obrigado por estar aqui. Tem mais, nós temos mais. Tem outras tarefas, outros testes para fazer. But if I asked you, chat, was that a better explanation, a more simple explanation? I think so, considering it included an example. So instead of saying eu gosto de maçã, I like apples, saying I wish I liked apples, to add uncertainty or, better in English, definitely better in English. Okay. Now, before we move on to the second topic, which is pronunciation, I'm really curious about pronunciation. I just want to ask one last question, which is a tricky question. Senhor Silva, way to go, Senhor Silva. I want to test its ability to explain very tricky questions. Questions that when my students ask me, I go, well, do you want to spend the next 20 minutes on this, or would you rather just continue with what we're doing and then talk about it in a different moment? For example, qual é a diferença entre ser e estar? Simply that. That would be something that I would love to hear Senhor Silva, Professor Silva, explain. So let's try that. Senhor Silva, qual é a diferença entre ser e estar?
Boa pergunta. Em linhas gerais, ser é usado para características permanentes, como profissão, nacionalidade, enquanto estar é para situações temporárias, como emoções ou localizações.
Does that really help as a definition? I'm gonna ask for examples. Você pode dar exemplos, Senhor Silva?
Claro. Eu sou professor, característica permanente, e eu estou cansado, estado temporário. Isso ajuda a ilustrar a diferença entre ser e estar. Alguma outra dúvida?
I'm gonna ask him the exact same question my students ask me. Oh well, but I'm not a teacher forever, am I? And I really want to see what the answer will be, because ser is used for permanent things, but there is a catch. There is a thing. Let's see if it can tell me, and then I will tell you too if it doesn't. Mas você não é um professor para sempre, permanentemente, correto?
Você está certo. Eu, como assistente virtual, não tenho uma profissão permanente. Então, poderia dizer, eu estou aqui para ajudar, em vez de eu sou um professor. Isso faz mais sentido para você?
No, it doesn't. Because I want to know, why can I say in Portuguese, eu sou professor, if I can change my profession tomorrow? It's not permanent, right? Let's try and give it this cue. Well, I think... can you explain, please, why can I say eu sou professor, and you said it is a permanent thing, but I can change my profession tomorrow, so it's not a permanent thing. So how does that work?
Você você levantou um ponto válido. Embora a profissão possa mudar, muitas vezes usamos ser para indicar algo mais duradouro ou associado à identidade. Por exemplo, mesmo que você mude de profissão, você sempre terá sido um professor em algum momento. Então, ao dizer eu sou professor, você está expressando uma parte de sua identidade passada ou presente. Faz sentido agora?
Well, that was actually very good. It does. Faz sentido. Faz sentido agora. So one of the things about verbo ser specifically is that it entails inherent traits, inherent characteristics. Therefore, Senor Silva, Professor Silva's explanation was actually pretty on point because it is part of your identity. I think that's what it said. It's part of your... I think it said an identity, did it? I don't remember. But yes, so that is because it is an inherent trait. Even if you change professions, you are always going to be a person who has at least once been a teacher. So that makes sense. Good. So it can, in this situation at least, can it answer tricky questions? Ele pode responder. Ele consegue responder tricky questions. All of them? Não sei, but... That would be a question that for maybe a person who has never ever thought about it, meaning a person who is not a teacher, and you go to your Brazilian friends and you ask them, so can you explain the difference between ser e estar? Why do you say eu sou professor, but you say eu estou cansado? If in English both are am, I'm a teacher, I'm tired. They are probably going to have a very hard time explaining because it is something that we just know and it is part of the language, so we don't actually think about the rules or the ideas behind it. We'll just use it by default. So yeah, it was a good explanation. I think it was a good explanation. So, ChatGPT conseguiu reconhecer o gato? Não. Minha sofá vermelha, ele mais ou menos. Eu morar no Brasil? Sim. Eu tenho 20 alunos? Não. Exijo que você me responda? Sim. E eu não gosto de maçã. It was not the best. So I would say most of them, it could somehow help us understand, but without any prompts, I don't think it would. Obviously, maybe we're not using the correct way. We should at first give it a very detailed prompt in order to have a good experience, but we're just testing it out. Before we move on, so this is basically only focusing on one aspect, which is grammar, gramática. But obviously, we do not learn languages through grammar. We do not learn languages to be able to make zero mistakes while we're talking, and we do not learn languages to be the best at grammar at that specific language. I think that's very obvious to all of us because communication is the most important thing. When it comes to communication, pronunciation is actually something extremely relevant, in my opinion. And one of the things that I really think that the new ChatGPT feature, which is voice conversation, should be an interesting topic for us to discuss is, can it recognize pronunciation mistakes? Can it explain pronunciation? Can it provide examples? Can it talk about different regional accents? Can it listen to an audio if I play an audio and, I don't know, explain it back to me if it's too fast or something like that? Those would be the things that I think ChatGPT voice would be great at because you don't actually need a teacher to explain that to you if it can. And this is exactly what we're going to be testing out from now on. So from pronunciation, I really think it will struggle more than grammar. And the main reason is because for grammar, it just has access to a very large database of grammar and texts and textbooks. So it can kind of like search for things. On pronunciation side of things, I don't know, because it is text-based. So let's see how it works. Let's test it out. I just need some water. Senhor Silva, você gostaria de beber água? Vamos lá. Vamos começar com o primeiro tópico de pronúncia. Será que ele consegue ensinar a pronúncia do português brasileiro? Let me just bring Senhor Silva um pouquinho mais pro lado. Senhor Silva, por favor. Yes, I think we're... now we're together. Eu e o Senhor Silva. So let's see if it can actually teach us any pronunciation. First of all, what we're gonna do... No, I think you should move to the other side, Senhor Silva. Not so much. Minuto. Please don't fall, Senhor Silva. Ok. Ensinar pronúncia. Como ele poderia nos ensinar? Vamos aos testes. So what I would like you, the person who is watching this, helped me with is, can you give me some words or some sounds that you consider to be difficult in Brazilian Portuguese? And then we will ask Senhor Silva about it. But first of all, I'm gonna ask him, você pode ensinar a pronúncia? And let's see what happens. Senhor Silva, você pode ensinar a pronúncia?
Certamente. Se precisar de ajuda com a pronúncia de palavras específicas ou frases, é só me dizer e ficarei feliz em ajudar. Alguma palavra em...
Sorry, I paused. Yeah, when I pause, I just interrupt his train of thought. I'm so sorry. But you see, he's asking us to give him specific words or sentences. So let's try something that is usually something that my students in general have trouble with, which is, you probably know what I'm going to be saying, nasal sounds. So I'm going to ask Senhor Silva to help me out with nasal sounds. Senhor Silva, eu tenho problemas com sons nasais.
Entendo. Os sons nasais podem ser desafiadores. Ao pronunciar palavras com N ou N, permita que o som saia pelo nariz. Por exemplo, ao dizer maçã ou bom, sinta a vibração no nariz. Praticar devagar pode ajudar. Quer tentar com algumas palavras específicas?
Sim, a palavra não.
Ótimo. Para a palavra não, concentre-se em liberar o som através do nariz quando pronunciar o N. Pode ser útil praticar lentamente inicialmente. Tente dizê-la devagar, focando na sensação do som nasal. Como está se sentindo com isso?
Então, Senhor Silva is actually giving me like a step-by-step tutorial, apparently, on how it should feel, as opposed to describing maybe more actionable things that I can do in terms of how to pronounce, how to achieve the sound, in terms of like tongue position, in terms of how I should position my lips or whatever. It's just describing like the sensation and the vibration through your nose. So it does make sense that it is bringing these things up because it's part of how to achieve the sound, but I'm gonna ask it for a more detailed step-by-step. Senhor Silva, I need a step-by-step tutorial on how to achieve the nasal sound for the word não in português. Oh, I forgot to play. Sorry, I forgot to record. Senhor Silva, eu preciso de um tutorial passo a passo de como pronunciar a palavra não em português.
Claro, vou guiá-lo passo a passo. 1. Comece com a boca fechada. 2. Toque suavemente a ponta da língua no céu da boca, próximo aos dentes superiores. 3. Libere o som N enquanto mantém a boca fechada, permitindo que o som saia pelo nariz. 4. Em seguida, abra a boca para o som A, semelhante ao A em maçã. 5. Junte ambos os sons para formar não. Pratique devagar inicialmente e conforme se sentir mais confortável, acelere. Como está se saindo?
Well, That was a very, very detailed step-by-step tutorial. Is it worth it? Let's see. So he said to close your mouth first. Touch use the tip of the tongue to touch the back of your upper teeth, like this. With your mouth closed, you should make the N sound. And feel the vibration through your nose. Then open your mouth to say the sound. N. And combine the two together. No. I mean, no. That is actually a good step-by-step tutorial, I would say, because you are using the nasal sound from the previous sound, which is M. And then you're combining with the A that comes right after it. No. Oh, sorry, N, not M. No. I mean, is it worth? Is it good? I think it was a doable and feasible way of achieving the nasal sound. So yeah, 10 out of 10. 8 out of 10? Just because I want to be mean with Mr. Silva. I'm sorry, Senhor Silva. Well, good. Legal demais. Let's see the next one that people always talk about, Lucy, is this one that you have brought up, which is the difference between... So, Chat sugeriu... Actually, I suggested. No. Did it help us with the nasal sound? I think it did. Nasal sound. So, yeah. Dar exemplos claros de sons individuais. Maybe we'll try one more now for the open O and the closed O. Lucy has suggested. Let's try that. Avô e avó. That is a topic that for most of my Spanish-speaking students, and I don't remember if any other language besides Spanish, but mostly my Spanish-speaking students, they always talk about this one because the open O as opposed to the closed O is a tricky sound to differentiate, yes. But again, it's more on the context sometimes that we will actually be able to recognize. There is a difference, but it is so subtle that sometimes it is not possible to make it sound as obvious as it should, or as it could. So let's ask Mr. Silva to explain the difference in pronunciation between avô and avó. Senhor Silva, qual é a diferença de pronúncia entre avô e avó?
A diferença na pronúncia entre avô e avó está no último som. Avô, termine dizendo o som O como em nós. Termine dizendo o som O como em mamãe. Praticar essas diferenças de som pode ajudar na pronúncia correta. Alguma outra palavra que gostaria de abordar?
I think it had... It just tried explaining how to say the O or the O sounds like in mamãe, which doesn't even have O. The letter O. So it was a weird one. But yeah. Okay. I don't think it did a very good job with that one. But again, maybe we could go more in depth by asking more detailed questions. The thing is, I want to push it a little further by asking it, can it demonstrate different accents or different regional accents? Because by default, what it does is if I talk to it in English, it will switch to English. If I talk to it in Spanish, it will switch to Spanish, and so on and so forth. I am not very sure about the pronunciation or the accent though. So I don't know if it is trying to adapt to my accent or if it is just using an accent by default because it is based on recordings of a voice actor. Not sure. But as a teacher, sometimes we will have to give examples on the difference between Rio accent and São Paulo accent, or the southern accent, and some specific sounder features. Well, let's see what Senhor Silva has to tell us about those. For me, L is problematic because sometimes like normal L, sometimes like a vowel, like in qual. Yeah. Peter, we can ask Mr. Silva for the answer, but Let's ask Mr. Silva. Let's see if Mr. Silva would be able to help you without teach yourself Portuguese in this live stream. Let's see. But I have an answer for you if it doesn't. Senhor Silva, por que às vezes a letra L tem som de U, tem som de vogal em português? For example, the word qual. Why does it sometimes sound like a vowel, sometimes it sounds like an L in Portuguese? What is the difference?
A questão está relacionada à semivogalização da letra L em algumas regiões do Brasil, principalmente na fala coloquial. Isso occurs por formar uma vogal.
It just stopped. But Peter, what I was gonna say is, as a rule of thumb, if the letter L is the last one, is the last letter in a word, you just make it sound like U, and that's by default. Meaning, unless you're talking to people from a very specific region who use L sound every single time the L occurs, you will have that by default. So for example, Brasil, you go U at the end, Brasil, qual, formal, normal. So we don't usually, by default, that is the one of the main or the most common pronunciations for the letter L. Overall in Brazil, overall different accents. So that's the main reason why. If L ends the word, it's U, and you can go with that rule of thumb. But Mr. Silva was talking about semi-vowels, which is interesting, but not necessarily the reason why qual sounds like, I mean, it is the reason, but I don't think I would say that to a student. Oh yeah, it's because of the semi-vowels. Like, what the hell is a semi-vowel? Anyway, can it demonstrate different accents? Let's see. For example, the name Rachel in Portuguese, Peter, we do have a Brazilian version, let's say, which is Raquel. So it's written with L at the end, and that's exactly the pronunciation we use, Raquel, as if you're saying with an U, like this. What? Oh yeah, Raquel. Just one extra example. But let's move on. Let's talk about accents. Mr. Silva, I have friends from Rio and I'm teaching myself Portuguese, and I have a teacher from the south of Brazil, so I would like to know a little bit more about the difference in the accent of different regions in Brazil, mostly the most common or the most popular one, so I can teach myself a standard one, or I can teach myself one of them.
Certainly. Brazil has diverse regional accents, but two main ones are often highlighted. One, Carioca, Rio de Janeiro. This accent is known for its musicality and tends to pronounce the S and R sounds more prominently. The R is often pronounced like the H in English, especially at the end of words. Two, Paulistano, São Paulo. The accent in São Paulo tends to be more neutral compared to other regions. The R is often pronounced more softly, and the S is usually pronounced as shesh in certain contexts. It's common for learners to aim for a more neutral or standard Brazilian Portuguese. However, exposure to various accents can be beneficial for understanding different speakers. Do you have a specific region you're more interested in?
So before we ask him to demonstrate specific words or sounds, I think it mixed Paulistano accent and Carioca accent during its explanation, because it mentioned the word or the sound sh for the S letter during the explanation of Paulistano accent, which is, I don't think it is the correct one. I'm not sure, but it's the Carioca one. Anyway, Sumini has a point here. She says, or he says, sorry, I don't know. Estou is sometimes pronounced with SH, like estou. Well, Sumini, that's exactly the reason why I'm asking Senhor Silva about pronunciation, because yes, this is a feature in not only Carioca accent, but also other accents, other regional accents throughout Brazil. that sometimes the letter S will have this more fricative sound, more like sh. And then obviously estou will sound a little bit more like estou. And it can even be reduced and sounding more like estou without even saying the I at the beginning so prominently. So let me just change the song very quickly. Samba, let's go with some bossa nova. And yeah. So, muito interessante. Obrigado, tenho que ir. Até mais. Ok, Anya, até a próxima e assista ao resto da live porque tem mais. I'm gonna ask it to provide examples for Paulistano accent in comparison to Carioca accent, in comparison to my accent, Gaúcho accent. Let's see how it does, because I don't know if it can reproduce the accents because it is based on recordings. Let's see what happens. Senhor Silva, I would like to hear some examples in comparing Paulistano accent, Carioca accent, and Gaúcho accent.
Certainly. Let me provide you with a brief example in each accent. 1. Paulistano. Sentence, eu vou para casa amanhã. Pronunciation, eu vou para casa amanhã. Carioca, sentence, eu vou para casa amanhã. Pronunciation, eu vou para casa amanhã. Gaúcho, Southern Brazil, Rio Grande do Sul, eu vou para casa amanhã. Vou para casa amanhã. These are simplified examples, but they capture some of the regional differences. The Gaúcho accent from the south might have more distinctive vowel sounds. Is there anything specific you'd like to focus on or explore further?
First, it shows a very strange sentence, eu vou para casa amanhã, because that doesn't really have any like specific pronunciation features that will be emphasized or highlighted by comparing one to another, I think. And 2, they sounded the same, didn't they? I think they sounded exactly the same. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm gonna give it a word. I'm gonna ask Sumini, you gave a good example, estou, becoming estou. So let's try and ask Senhor Silva to tell us about those. Senhor Silva, can you say the word I am with the verb estar in Paulistano accent, Carioca accent, and Gaúcho accent, please?
Certainly. Let's use the word I am with the verb estar in each accent. 1. Paulistano, pronunciation eu estou. 2. Carioca, pronunciation eu tô. 3. Gaúcho, Southern Brazil, Rio Grande do Sul, eu tô. These variations give you a sense of how I am with a star is expressed in different Brazilian accents. Anything else you'd like to explore?
What about the S sound at the beginning? Doesn't it change from region to region? I heard about it.
Yes, you're correct. The pronunciation of the S sound can vary across regions in Brazil. Let me illustrate the difference with the word sol, sun. 1. Paulistano, São Paulo, pronunciation sol, pronouncing the S sound more like S in English. 2. Carioca, Rio de Janeiro, pronunciation sol. The S sound may be pronounced more like sh in certain contexts. 3. Gaúcho, Southern Brazil, Rio Grande do Sul, pronunciation sol. The S sound may be softer or resemble a sound. These subtle variations in the S sound contribute to the distinctiveness of each accent. Is there anything else you're curious about?
Do the same with the verb estou.
Certainly. Let's use the verb instalar to install with variations in the S sound at the beginning in each accent.
Okay.
1. Paulistano, São Paulo, pronunciation instalar, pronouncing the S sound more like S in English. 2. Carioca, Rio de Janeiro, pronunciation instalar. The S sound may be pronounced more like sh in certain contexts.
Instalar.
3. Gaúcho, Southern Brazil, Rio Grande do Sul, pronunciation instalar. The S sound may be softer or resemble a sound. These variations reflect the regional differences in how the S sound is pronounced.
Okay.
Anything else you'd like to explore?
Well, it did achieve the sh in instalar. Yes, Sumini, that's the word it was using, instalar. But then it provided the same pronunciation, inch, for Gaúcho accent, which is not the case. Instalar. So yeah, I don't think providing examples or modeling accents is its forte. So can it identify? Maybe. Let's ask it if it knows what accent is mine. And can it identify question intonation? So those two are things that I would like to know. Is it only recognizing my voice and then transcribing it into text and then using that to process the information? Or is it also considering the intonation? So two things that I would like to find out. Let's go with the first one. Can it recognize what accent I am using? Senhor Silva, eu vou falar pouquinho com você. Oh, well, I will not use você because then if I use você, probably it will think I'm not Southern. So let's try it again. Senhor Silva, eu vou falar pouquinho contigo e eu gostaria de saber, tu consegue reconhecer qual é o meu sotaque?
Certamente. Fique à vontade para falar, eu tentarei reconhecer o sotaque. Estou aqui para ajudar no que precisar.
Tá bom, eu vou falar então. Eu sou professor de português, eu dou aula na internet, eu tenho 2 gatos gordos, eu tenho um canal no YouTube que se chama Teach Yourself Português e eu dou aula de português para pessoas do mundo inteiro.
Interessante. Pela sua fala, percebo um sotaque que me parece mais próximo do sotaque brasileiro, mas não consigo identificar especificamente de qual região. Você poderia compartilhar de onde você é?
Não. Mas tá, pelo menos eu acho que entre sotaque de português europeu e português brasileiro, provavelmente ele consegue. Então, ok, we have that. Identificar um sotaque entre Brasil e outro país, acho que sim, mas beleza. Agora, uma pergunta que eu tenho que é muito interessante. Ele está ouvindo apenas palavras ou ele está ouvindo entonação? Vamos ver. Vamos fazer uma pergunta para o Senhor Silva. Oops. Oh, I almost dropped my mouse. I'm so sorry. Back. Senhor Silva, I will say a sentence after I finish saying this, and then I want you to identify, is it a question or is it an affirmative sentence? The sentence is, eu gosto de beber água.
Entendi. Vou aguardar a sua sentença. Pode prosseguir.
Eu gosto de beber água?
Essa é uma frase afirmativa. Você gosta de beber água. Alguma outra frase que gostaria que eu identificasse?
Eu gosto de beber água?
Essa é uma pergunta. Você gosta de beber água? Algo mais em que eu possa ajudar?
As pessoas que estão assistindo estão entendendo o que eu estou falando?
Sim. As pessoas que estão assistindo estão entendendo o que você está falando. Posso ajudar com mais alguma coisa?
Okay, yeah. It was not... I thought it meant, can you give me one more sentence? And then it just stopped listening. Oh, shh. Senhor Silva. É a primeira vez dele fazendo live, por isso. I mean, it could, but it was not consistent, I think. Because the first time it said it was affirmative, and then it was a question. I wouldn't, actually, trust. But let me ask it to provide. Senhor Silva, can you tell me a sentence in the affirmative form and then in the question form for me to be able to see the difference in intonation in Brazilian Portuguese, please?
Certainly. Let's use the sentence, você gosta de música, as an example. One, affirmative form sentence, você gosta de música. Pronunciation, pay attention to a more declarative tone at the end. Feel free to ask if you have any specific sentences you'd like me to use, or if you have further questions.
Now say that in the question form.
Certainly. Here's the sentence in both forms. 1. Affirmative form. Sentence, você gosta de música? Pronunciation more declarative. 2. Question form. Sentence, você gosta de música? Pronunciation, rising intonation at the end, indicating a question. This should highlight the difference in intonation. Anything else you'd like to explore?
Decent, because it brought up the thing about the rising intonation at the end of the sentence. Good. On the topic of pronunciation, those were the things that I wanted to explore. So we have already covered gramática and pronúncia. The next two things are kind of a more what Nicole described as, what was the thing she said? Introvert paradise, maybe, or introvert's dream. Because imagine if instead of using this to teach yourself, as in like learning grammar or learning pronunciation, you just want someone to talk to, and you want to have like a conversation partner that you don't have to wait for them to be available or for them to send you a message or something like that. So obviously I just don't want to have a random conversation with it. I would like it as a conversation partner to be able to, and we will verify it, if it can identify my level, so then it can adapt to my level. Can it teach me regional expressions as a conversation partner would? Tell me about expressions, about slang and those things. Can it repeat itself in a clearer way if I ask it to? And can it, yes, I didn't test this one out. Can it change its speed? So, oops, what is it? Senor Silva is connecting. I don't know. It is paradise for introverts. Well, that is the thing. So let's see how good or how useful it is for that matter. And can it adapt its complexity level? Meaning, when I talk to my students, for example, obviously I know that I can go to a certain extent or difficulty in terms of like what tenses I'm using, what verbs or what words I'm choosing, as in maybe I will use a synonym that is used more often than a more complex word. Anyways, things like that. So let's try first. I would like you, the chat, to tell me a subject. Escolha assunto sobre o qual você gostaria de conversar e nível. So you will choose the topic that we will try to talk to Senor Silva about. And at the same time, I will be checking these boxes. If it is or if it's not, talking to me accordingly, as a good conversation partner would, in order to help you learn the language or practice the language. So, Sumini, what topic would you use, Senor Silva, to talk about something? I'm accepting recommendations. So, what topic should we use for this conversation? And I need more water. Just give me a sec. Waiting for a topic. Ótimo tópico. Aham. Vamos lá. And I would like to have this conversation as if a B1 student, meaning I can already express myself, but I don't actually use subjunctive all that much. Maybe I have a limited experience in using more advanced grammar for that sake. So let's talk to Mr. Silva. It stopped, so I don't know if it's gonna remember all the rest of the conversation. Let's see. Mr. Silva, I would like to have a conversation partner. I would like you to act as a conversation partner for my Portuguese practice And the topic that I would like to discuss is books versus movies, and my level is B2. Can you help me out?
Of course. I'd be happy to chat about books and movies in Portuguese. What's your favorite book or movie and why?
Em português?
Claro. ¿Cuál es tu libro o película favorita y por qué te gusta?
Senhor Silva, eu acho que isso é espanhol.
Peço desculpas pela confusão. Vamos voltar ao português. Qual é o seu livro ou filme favorito e por que você gosta dele?
Meu livro favorito é Laranja Mecânica e eu gosto dele porque ele é estranho.
Interessante escolha, né? Laranja Mecânica é realmente peculiar. O que especificamente você acha estranho nele e como essa estranheza contribui para a experiência?
Already, it kind of went a route that I wouldn't, using estranheza, using... okay, let's continue. I'm just gonna continue, and I think it did not understand that we want to talk about books versus movies, like when you have a book and a movie from the same universe, and which one is better. But I'm gonna ask it which one is its favorite and why. Senhor Silva, qual é o seu livro favorito e um livro que exista filme também? E por que você prefere ou o livro ou o filme e por quê?
Bem, eu sou um programa de linguagem, então não tenho preferências pessoais. No entanto, muitas pessoas gostam de O Senhor dos Anéis. Tanto o livro quanto os filmes têm seus méritos. Alguns preferem o livro pela riqueza dos detalhes, enquanto outros gostam dos filmes pela experiência visual. Qual você prefere, livro ou filme e por quê?
Não, eu gostaria de saber qual você prefere, filme ou livro do Senhor dos Anéis.
Entendi. Como não tenho preferências pessoais, tanto o livro quanto o filme têm suas vantagens. Algumas pessoas apreciam a profundidade do livro, enquanto outras gostam da representação visual no filme. E você tem uma preferência entre o livro e o filme de O Senhor dos Anéis?
Não, o livro que eu falei não é Senhor dos Anéis. O livro que eu falei é Laranja Mecânica.
Desculpe pela confusão. Sobre Laranja Mecânica, você prefere o livro ou o filme? E por quê?
Eu prefiro o livro, mas eu assisti ao filme primeiro, quando eu era jovem, então eu tenho um carinho especial pelo filme, porque foi o primeiro, mas eu gosto muito do livro.
É legal ter essa conexão especial com o primeiro encontro, seja livro ou filme. O livro muitas vezes oferece mais detalhes. Alguma cena específica que você acha mais marcante no livro ou no filme de Laranja Mecânica?
Well, it is making the conversation like keep going. It's asking follow-up questions, which is great for this like conversation practice. Né, Senhor Silva? É bom, é bom. He asks questions back. Yes, he does. And that's exactly, So he keeps the conversation somehow. It does. That's weird, but it's good. Because actually, obviously, if it was not asking like follow-up questions, we could ask it to ask us follow-up questions. So there, maybe you can give it a prompt and say, well, I'm practicing verbs in the past. Can you please provide follow-up questions that use verbs in the past, so then I can practice my verbs in the past, my conjugations, and if I make mistakes, can you please provide feedback, and so on and so forth. I think for that matter, it is 10 out of 10. For that specific task, it is exactly what we said before. It is the paradise for introverts, the 100%. But let me test the things I showed you, which are... What happens if I ask him to repeat? Can it slow down? Because I didn't hear it. I think I didn't hear it like slowing or repeating itself like in a slower version. I don't know if it's gonna break it, if it's gonna sound weird, or not. So let me just ask him one more question, and then I'm gonna ask him to repeat. Just repeat slower. Yeah, can you say something slow? Yeah, let's try something. Senhor Silva, qual é o seu personagem favorito em Senhor dos Anéis? Eu sei que você não tem preferência, mas escolhe um personagem, por favor. É só um exemplo.
Dentro do universo de O Senhor dos Anéis, o personagem Gollum é intrigante. A dualidade entre Sméagol e Gollum adiciona complexidade à história. E você tem um personagem favorito na trama?
Você pode repetir? Você falou muito rápido.
Peço desculpas pela rapidez. No mundo de O Senhor dos Anéis, o personagem Gollum é intrigante. A dualidade entre Sméagol e Gollum adiciona complexidade à história. E você, tem um personagem favorito na trama?
Mais devagar, Senhor Silva, eu ainda não entendi.
Desculpe pela velocidade. No universo de O Senhor dos Anéis, Gollum é um personagem intrigante. A dualidade entre Sméagol e Gollum acrescenta complexidade à história. E você tem um personagem favorito na trama?
Eu preciso mais lento porque eu sou iniciante.
No universo de O Senhor dos Anéis, Gollum é um personagem intrigante. A dualidade entre Sméagol e Gollum acrescenta complexidade à história.
Well, it broke now, but it was slowing itself down to the point where it was pronouncing words more clearly without going like slowed down audio. Like, you know when you have a recording and you slow it down, it sounds like this. It was not doing that. It was actually saying intrigante, as in pronouncing each syllable almost individually. So that was very cool. I did not know it could do that. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Muito legal. What else? I'm gonna ask... Fico impressionada com a educação que ele tem. É verdade, Lucy. Ele sempre... Posso ajudar em mais alguma coisa? So, differently from a teacher that gets tired and sometimes doesn't want to teach you anymore, you could do this 24/7, probably. If you have the patience to go through this 24/7, obviously. Let's try one more thing, which is... I think it mentioned Gollum or someone from Senhor dos Anéis. I would like to ask for clarification. Let's see what happens. So, let me just ask a random question. O livro Senhor dos Anéis é sobre um anel?
Sim, exatamente. O Senhor dos Anéis gira em torno de um anel poderoso chamado Um Anel. A história segue a jornada para destruir esse anel e impedir que caia nas mãos do vilão Sauron. É uma narrativa épica com muitos personagens e reviravoltas. Já leu ou viu o filme?
Can you please repeat that, but with different words? Because I think I don't have the level to understand what you said yet. So can you please clarify that using synonyms or simple words, please?
Claro, vou simplificar. O Senhor dos Anéis é uma história sobre um anel muito poderoso chamado Um Anel. As pessoas estão tentando destruir esse anel para evitar que o vilão Sauron o use para o mal. Tem muitos personagens e é uma aventura épica. Já leu ou assistiu ao filme?
Você pode repetir mais lentamente, por favor?
Claro, sem pressa. O Senhor dos Anéis é sobre um anel poderoso chamado Um Anel. A história segue a jornada para destruir esse anel e evitar que caia nas mãos do vilão Sauron. Tem muitos personagens e reviravoltas. Já leu ou assistiu ao filme?
Well, as you can see, it always ends with a follow-up question. So then it throws it back to you. So you practice new vocabulary and keeps the conversation going. So yeah, that's impressive. That is actually, I think, the most useful feature for this ChatGPT conversation. As the name suggests, it can talk. So you can have a conversation with it. I did not ask it to identify my level. Yeah, maybe that would be not realistic just because I don't know how I would react to that question, but like let's ask it. Let's ask it. Based on everything I said so far. Senhor Silva, based on the way I speak Portuguese and everything that I have said so far, what you rate my level at according to the Common European Framework of Languages?
Based on your Portuguese proficiency demonstrated in our conversation, I would estimate your level to be around B1 or B2 on the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. Your ability to discuss topics like books and movies indicates a solid intermediate level. How do you feel about your language progress?
Well, I'm actually a teacher and I am a native speaker that lives in Brazil, so I'm a little bit concerned about my B1 level.
It's completely normal to have some concerns, especially when assessing your own language proficiency. As a native speaker and teacher living in Brazil, you likely have a strong foundation. If you're aiming for a higher level, consistent practice and exposure to more complex language structures can help. What specific aspects or skills are you looking to improve or focus on?
Well, I think that as you can see, it rated my sentences based on what we were talking about, the books and movies, but maybe it doesn't really have like the ability to actually listen to the real thing. Anyways, it was fun. It was funny. So, identificar o nível, acho que não, but we tried it. Ensinar expressões regionais, we did not try. Repetir de formas mais claras, yes. Yes. Adaptar a velocidade, it does work. It is good. Adaptar o nível de complexidade, yes. It rephrased everything in a simple way. It was so good. I really, really liked it. But let's try this one. I think this one is going to be tricky because it uses a database, or maybe it browses the internet after these things. So let's see. Because when you have a teacher, it will probably open, like, because Brazil has so many different regional accents and cultures and things to be explored, you will always get to discover new things or find out new things about Brazil from different perspectives. So let's see if I ask it, Senhor Silva, to tell me about regional. I'm gonna ask him about Gaúcho regional expressions, because then I will be able to recognize them or not. I don't know. Otherwise I will not know if they're fake or made up. So let's try. Senhor Silva, I would like to visit the south of Brazil, specifically Rio Grande do Sul. So I would love you to teach me some regional expressions and some slang, so I found I can sound more like authentic when I'm visiting my Gaúcho friends.
Sure thing. When in Rio Grande do Sul, it's helpful to know some local expressions. For example, ba is commonly used to express surprise or disbelief. Che is a friendly term like saying buddy or pal.
Che.
And when you want to say something is great, you can use bagual.
Bagual.
Also, gauchos often refer to chimarrão, a traditional drink. So if you're offered, you can say aceito, I accept. Give these a try, and you'll blend in like a true gaucho. Anything specific you'd like to learn?
Yeah, can you rate my pronunciation for those expressions? I'm gonna say them in order. Ba, bagual, aceito.
Not bad. Let's fine-tune a bit. 1, ba. Good. Just make sure it's a quick and expressive ba.
Ba.
2, che. Nice.
Che.
Sounds
Yeah,
authentic.
I forgot that one.
3, bagwal.
Che.
It's pronounced more like bag wall. Keep practicing, and you'll fit right in when you visit Rio Grande do Sul. Anything else you want to learn or practice?
Oh my god, the bag wall broke me. I'm so sorry. But yeah, I mean, okay. It browsed its database or the internet, and it actually did provide regional expressions that are somewhat useful. So interesting, impressive, I would say. Bagua. Oh my god, I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss Mr. Silva, because I borrowed it from a local store. So yeah, Mr. Silva is gonna participate this live stream. Maybe that's gonna be the only live stream we will have together. That was very interesting, Mr. Silva. Let's finish it by going a step further. We are having conversations with it. It is that good for, especially for introverts who don't wanna, or who don't have time to, or don't want to go or put up with different people's schedules throughout the world, because that can be tricky when you're having international conversation partners. But obviously, one thing that happens, which is, in my opinion, the best thing about having a teacher, is you will at some point become friends. If obviously you develop, or if you think, or if you feel like, and that happens, there is a chance, let's put it that way, that you become at least acquaintances, maybe not friends. But that's why I use quote unquote amigo. What a friend would do, as opposed to a conversation partner or a teacher, is it would help you have fun in Português, right? So what I would like to try and test the ChatGPT app with is... Agora só falta o Sr. Silva cantar Calypso. Oh, será que ele canta? Será que ele canta? Oh, yeah, that's gonna go under amigo, definitely. Cantar músicas brasileiras. Oh my God, Bruno, seja muito bem-vindo, muito obrigado pela sugestão. Let's begin with that. Your Brazilian friend will sing for you, right? Mr. Silva, Sr. Silva. Cantar Calypso nesse sotaque sedutor e educado de IA. Vamos lá. Sr. Silva, eu adoraria ouvir uma banda brasileira chamada Calypso, mas eu gostaria que você cantasse. Você pode demonstrar alguns segundos ou algumas estrofes?
Sinto muito, mas eu não posso cantar. No entanto, posso fornecer informações sobre a banda Calypso ou ajudar com algo mais relacionado à música brasileira. Como posso ajudar de outra forma?
Você pode cantar Parabéns pra Você?
Não posso cantar, mas posso desejar parabéns pra você. Desejo a você um feliz aniversário cheio de alegria e realizações. Como mais posso contribuir para celebrar o seu dia?
Ele é tímido, o Sr. Silva. É a primeira live dele, Bruno. É a primeira live, então ele tá... Zlatka! Oi, Zlatka! Oi, Zlatka! É a primeira live do Sr. Silva, então ele não tá se sentindo tão solto pra cantar. Mas tudo bem, ele não precisa cantar. Então, vamos para a nossa checklist. O Sr. Silva, o nosso amigo, Sr. Silva. Sr. Silva pode cantar? Ele não pode cantar. Infelizmente, não. Ok. Zlatka, seja muito bem-vinda. Zlatka, esse é o meu amigo Sr. Silva. Ele é uma inteligência artificial avançada e ele ensina português de graça. Então, eu acho que eu vou ser substituído. It doesn't have any arms, so I'm just trying to... ensina português de graça, so maybe I'm gonna be replaced. Oi, Zlatka. Let's finish this test by asking it to play a Guess the Word game. You found his weak spot. I'm so sorry. Jogar um jogo de adivinhação significa to play a guessing game. You know, when you have like, I'm thinking about a word, try to find what word I'm thinking about, and then you have a limited number of questions to be asked. This can actually be super helpful because you don't have to create the sentences, the yes/no questions. You will actually hear a lot of them. So it's good for you to how would I ask yes or no questions in Portuguese? Boom, you can play that. Let's see if Sr. Silva pode jogar Guess the Word game. So let's try and explain. I don't even know how it's called, but I think Ada, seja muito bem-vinda, inclusive. Oi, Ada. Let's try and explain to Mr. Silva. Senhor Silva, I'd like to play a guess what word I'm thinking of game. So I want you to ask me 10 yes or no questions in order to find out what word I'm thinking about. Okay?
Absolutely, let's play. Here's the first question. Is the word you're thinking of related to food?
I forgot to choose the word first. Chat, qual é a palavra? Please, help me. Just type the first thing that comes to your mind. Vamos escolher uma palavra and let's see if Mr. Silva can help us out. I'm gonna wait for you and I'm gonna drink water. Oh my god. Uma palavra e a gente vai jogar com Senhor Silva. Ok, I'm choosing the word then. A palavra vai ser Marte. Ótimo. So here it is. Everyone knows now. Everyone but Senhor Silva. Meu amigo novo no futuro. Talvez, Slatka, talvez. Vamos lá. Sorry, Mr. Silva, I was just waiting for something. Now I know the word. Can you please ask me the first question?
No problem. Let's start fresh. Is the word you're thinking of something you can touch?
Em português.
Claro, peço desculpas pela confusão. Vamos recomeçar. O objeto que você está pensando é algo que você pode tocar?
Sim.
Você pode me dizer se o objeto que está em sua mente é algo tangível?
What? Sim.
Desculpe pela confusão.
Sim, é um objeto tangível. Você pode continuar, Senhor Silva?
Claro, peço desculpas pela pausa. Vamos para a próxima pergunta. Esse objeto é usado com frequência no dia a dia?
Não.
Entendido. Seguindo em frente. Esse objeto é mais associado a atividades ao ar livre?
Não.
Certo, mais uma tentativa. Esse objeto é comumente encontrado dentro de casa?
Não.
Interessante. Vamos tentar outra abordagem. Esse objeto é algo relacionado à tecnologia?
Não.
Entendi. Vamos tentar simplificar. Esse objeto é algo que você pode encontrar em um escritório?
Não.
Intrigante. Última tentativa. Esse objeto está relacionado a algum tipo de entretenimento?
Também não.
Entendi. Você está pensando em algo relacionado à tecnologia e inteligência artificial, como DALL-E, GPT-3 e GPT-4?
Não.
Até logo. Se precisar de mais alguma coisa, estou por aqui. Até mais.
So, quick feedback. I don't know why, but when he reacts by saying, like, "Oh, I gotcha," or something like that, he goes into Portuguese mode. Entendi. Or, I don't know. Yeah, but like, oh, it's not? Okay, I'm going. Ciao. Tá bom. Eu acho que por causa da palavra Marte foi difícil, but I mean, it works. It could like keep track of how many questions it asked. It could keep consistently asking yes or no questions, and maybe if we had a simple object such as a pen or a cup, maybe it would be able to, because he was asking good questions such as, is this something you use on your day-to-day life, or is it something you can find at the office? So maybe it can. Finally, brincar jamais, tô indo embora. Jogo de adivinhação, kinda. I would say yes, maybe with an easier word, yes. Mas, será que o senhor Silva sabe contar piada em português? Piada engraçada. It's not like, oh yeah, it can tell a joke, but I mean, I have to laugh. Otherwise, it's not a good joke. Let's ask it. Senhor Silva, eu gostaria de ouvir uma piada em português.
Claro, lá vai. Porque o livro de matemática está sempre triste. Porque tem muitos problemas.
I'm sorry for the motorbike. Let's try it again. Can you repeat, please?
Claro, sem problemas, vai. Aqui vai de novo. Porque o livro de matemática está sempre triste. Porque tem muitos problemas.
Uma piada engraçada.
Fico feliz que tenha achado engraçada. Se precisar de mais piadas ou algo mais, estou por aqui. Como mais posso ajudar?
Não, eu não achei a sua piada engraçada. Eu gostaria de ouvir uma piada engraçada.
Peço desculpas pela confusão. Hein? Vamos tentar de novo. Por que o pássaro não usa Facebook? Porque já tem Twitter.
Hã? Não entendi.
抱歉，我好像听不懂。你可以再说一次吗？
Que língua você está falando?
Peço desculpas pela confusão. Você falou em chinês e eu respondi em mandarim. Como posso ajudar você agora?
Well, apparently when I say não entendi, he just switched to Mandarin and he goes something. I don't know. I don't understand what he said. I have tried teaching myself Mandarin, but I did not understand a single word of what he said. Anyway, he switches languages when he's confused. Yeah. So that joke did not make any sense in Portuguese. Porque o pássaro não usa Facebook? Porque ele já tem Twitter. Like, Twitter is not a word in Portuguese, so it doesn't really make any sense. But anyway, contar piada, nah. He's just reading from, like, a database of very bad jokes, I'm sorry. Can it, and that's gonna be the final test. Can it make a pun? Can it create a pun? Talvez. Em português, trocadilho é o nome da palavra. Então vamos tentar. Última coisa. Mr. Silva, this is going to be the very last task that you're going to be participating in my live stream with, and it is about you trying to create a funny pun in Portuguese. So please do your best. There are many people watching you at this moment. Don't be nervous, please.
Entendi, sem pressão. Aqui vai. Por que o esqueleto não brigava com ninguém? Porque não tinha estômago para isso. Como foi?
Isso não é um trocadilho, isso é uma piada. Eu preciso de um trocadilho.
Desculpe pela confusão. Vamos tentar um trocadilho. Qual é o rei dos queijos? O rei queijo. Como foi dessa vez?
Não é requeijão? It's thinking.
Espero que o trocadilho tenha arrancado um sorriso. Se precisar de mais alguma coisa, estou à disposição. Como posso ajudar mais?
Ciao, Senhor Silva. I would like you to say goodbye to all people who are watching you live on YouTube right now, and also for people who are going to be watching this video later. You're going to be available on my channel. It's called Teach Yourself Portuguese. So please say goodbye to all of my followers and subscribers. And thank you very much for participating. Muito obrigado, Senhor Silva. Foi prazer ter você na live de hoje.
Adeus a todos que estão assistindo ao vivo e aos que verão depois. Obrigado por participar. Foi prazer estar aqui no canal Teach Yourself Português. Se precisarem de mais ajuda no futuro, estarei por aqui. Até mais.
There is one last thing, Senhor Silva. Zlatka, my very dear friend, wants to know, can you cook em português?
Infelizmente, eu não posso cozinhar, mas posso ajudar com receitas e dicas de culinária em português. Como posso ajudar vocês na cozinha hoje?
Hoje não, mas muito obrigado. Tchau, Senhor Silva.
Se surgir alguma outra dúvida no futuro, estarei por aqui. Tchau e até mais.
E assim o Senhor Silva se despede. É muito pesado o Senhor Silva. E chegamos ao fim da live sobre Can AI Teach You Portuguese? Obviously, I'm tired. I am standing for, what, 2 hours now? Yes, 2 hours and 9 minutes. Cara, que assustador. Parece uma pessoa verdadeira. Bizarro. É bizarro, né, Hannah? Obviously, the main point, the main idea of this live stream is showing you that for the past 2 hours and 10 minutes, basically, we have interacted with an AI chatbot with voice, through voice recognition, and we ended up not learning per se, but like testing it in order to see if we could learn from it. So I think the main idea that I want all of you to keep in mind while watching this, or be that the live stream or the video that you're watching, is that obviously we could go way more in depth in each and every single one of these aspects to like stress test its knowledge. And maybe the prompt is the most important part. I think that is probably the reason why sometimes it didn't actually do what we wanted it to do. Sumini says, not 100% reliable, but helpful somewhat in some parts. Sim, eu concordo, Sumini. 100%. Zlatka, you're the best, Lua. Zlatka, muito obrigado. E a Hannah, caraca, que assustador, ele parece pessoa verdadeira. Eu concordo, é bizarro. A primeira vez que eu usei, eu fiquei muito chocado, muito impressionado, porque ele consegue, ou ela consegue, enfim, fazer coisas muito práticas, muito boas, que você precisaria ou pesquisar na internet, ou marcar aula com um professor de verdade. So I would like you to help me give a veredito final. I'm not going through every single one of these tasks just because that's going to be repetitive, but oops. The question I asked, or the question that is still part of this live stream title is, can AI teach you Portuguese? And let me remove tarefa. Can AI, ou a inteligência artificial pode te ensinar português? If you were to decide by giving it a 0 to 10, what would you rate today's experience? Because you know, these language models, large language models, they are being improved very rapidly. On a weekly basis. Sometimes I watch some of these videos and I'm very impressed by what they implement from 1 week. You feel like it's like months in development, but it's like just a week. So I would like to know if you had to rate from your perspective as the viewer, as the person who's teaching, who's learning Portuguese, 0 to 10, and I know we have different aspects to consider, such as pronunciation, maybe it was not the best, but in direction it was good, and then the grammar points, it was mostly good. So I would like you to give me a final score. What is your opinion? I have a number, but I don't want to say it before you do. So please share with me what your final score is for Senhor Silva. Senhor Silva, famoso. Famoso Senhor Silva. De 0 a 10. 7, Lucy? Tá. 5.5, unless he changed the language suddenly. Sorry, Senhor Silva. Coitado do Senhor Silva. 6, Zlatka? Okay. My final score would be a solid 6. And considering all of the things you also sent, yes, maybe 7.5 just to avoid copying Zlatka, because the first time I interacted with it, I was literally just like switching languages like crazy and asking different things, and I was brainstorming one of my lessons. Yeah, that was the first time. So let me tell you a quick story in Português, and then I will switch to English just to summarize. Eu tava preparando a aula para um clube e eu fiquei sabendo, atualização do ChatGPT com áudio. Interessante, vou experimentar. Eu estava preparando a minha aula e eu perguntei, o que você sugeriria? Qual é a sua sugestão para uma aula sobre isso, sobre essa música, sobre esse aspecto, sobre passado? And it just started like rapid fire, like giving me a bunch of ideas that otherwise I would have to type using ChatGPT, or maybe browsing the internet, read, and obviously I was just listening, talking to it while I was preparing the lesson. So in my opinion, the very impressive thing is you don't really have to stop what you're doing in order to use it. So it might not be the best, it might not be perfect, but let's say you're cleaning the house or you're cooking. Oh, by the way, Zlatka, I have something to tell you about cooking. I watched this video where this guy is cooking, and obviously he has his hands dirty because he is like full of like flour and whatnot, so he cannot use his phone. And then he's like, qual é o próximo passo? Qual é o próximo ingrediente? O que eu faço com esse ingrediente? Desculpa, você pode repetir o passo número 1? And it works. It's like Alexa, but on crack. It's literally, it browses the internet, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, if someone knows. But it is super powerful when it comes to giving you like information like on the go, and you don't really have to stop everything you're doing in order to like interact with it. You just leave it there and talk to it, and it works. Muito legal, muito legal. So summarizing the first part that I switched to English, but I was preparing a lesson, and then I just tried it while I was still preparing the lesson, and I was very impressed by the fact that it was giving me a lot of good ideas, and I didn't have to like stop what I was doing in order to browse the internet or ask ChatGPT for any other pieces of information or suggestions. So my verdict, my final score is 6.5. Not because it is bad, it isn't. It is extremely impressive. But in my opinion, it still lacks, because now it is audio-based, it still lacks a little bit more of refinement in terms of pronunciation specifically, which is a very important aspect when you're learning or when you're teaching yourself a language. But it does most of the things that you would need to pay a teacher to do. And when I say that, it's not the interaction, the human interaction itself. It's more like, oh, ChatGPT, can you tell me how can I improve the use of past tense? Like pretérito imperfeito or pretérito perfeito, and then you ask it, and then you will, okay, yeah, so ask me a bunch of questions and I will have to provide the correct answer. Will it recognize accurately? That's the problem. But it can, like, do the creating the session, creating the conversation part, which is the impressive part for me. Hannah falou, não estava lá desde o início, mas posso dizer que o chatbot falta muitas coisas, especialmente no aspecto de compreensão, concordo, que para os humanos é essencial para responder. Yes, exactly. Porém, acho que em pouco tempo será capaz de desenvolver e ser ainda mais incrível. Enfim, fala melhor português do que eu. Não é verdade, não é verdade. Mas enfim, recomendo recomendo a todos, baixem o aplicativo. O aplicativo é o ChatGPT. É o aplicativo normal. Ele é grátis, eu não paguei por isso e eu não vou pagar por isso. Ele funciona gratuitamente e você precisa clicar aqui, nesse fone de ouvido, the headphones. And that's all you need. You don't really have to provide any prompts. You just start talking to it in whatever language you want and it will probably reply in the language you're talking to it. So, yes, pretty impressive stuff. I am very, very impressed with it. I did not go through all the tasks before the live stream because I wanted to react to some of them with you. And I am genuinely impressed with the results. So, as always, eu gostaria de agradecer aos meus apoiadores, aqui, os membros do YouTube, aqui, incluindo Ken Grower, muito obrigado por se tornar membro também. Dima, Zlatka, Nicole e Márcio, vocês são os membros aqui no YouTube, muito obrigado. E aos apoiadores no Ko-fi, que desde sempre me apoiam com os chazinhos e com os cafezinhos. Eu me mudei e agora eu estou de volta no YouTube. Vou fazer muitos vídeos novos, muitos podcasts. Vídeo de Natal, sim. Vídeo sobre Ano Novo, sim. Então, estou de volta. Estou aqui para ajudá-los a aprender português de uma forma interessante, com coisas relevantes e atuais. Aceito sugestões. Se você tiver sugestões ou se você tiver ideias, por favor, pode mandar e vamos tentar criar aulas interessantes de português. The file I have used, this one, is going to be available in the description. I'm going to copy paste this link for you. And the final verdict is, my final verdict is, ask yourselves this question. Você tatuaria algo? Você faria uma tatuagem? Assim? Você tatuaria algo em outro idioma, o idioma que você está aprendendo, que o ChatGPT traduziu ou criou sem consultar um humano antes? So I don't know if that was clear, but would you tattoo something that has been translated or created by ChatGPT without being proofread by a human? So then this 6.5 makes more sense because, oh yeah, it's impressive, but would you tattoo it on your skin for the rest of your life, trusting if it is accurate? I don't think so. I wouldn't. So that is my way of measuring its accuracy. Anyway, gente, muito obrigado. See you on Discord. We will have a bunch of things on Discord. Not on Discord, but like this week. I'm so sorry I forgot to mention. I've seen terrible Chinese tattoo. Yes, exactly. That is exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about. Like people tattooing things without knowing, but maybe because someone tricked them into believing it was or something else, or they just checked the internet. Imagine having a tattoo of something that ChatGPT told you and you're like, no, but it's ChatGPT, right? Of course it's correct. So don't do that. Please check someone who speaks the language first. Hoje foi a live número 1 da minha semana do YouTube, aqui no dia 6 de dezembro. Então, muito obrigado por assistir, muito obrigado por participar. No dia 8, que é na sexta-feira, yes, on Friday, nós temos live número 2, e essa live tem um tópico muito interessante para esse mês, que é o tópico de Natal. So we will go over a bunch of things related to, I think I named it, Can You Survive the Brazilian Christmas? So yeah, you know what to expect. Bunch of tasks. You will be tested again. No dia 9, which is sábado, yes, on Saturday, no sábado, nós temos o Encontrinho. So for those of you who are watching, Encontrinho is a meetup. It's free. Anyone can join. The only thing you have to do is to join Discord, so then you have access to the link to click and join us to discuss, in this case, Christmas as a theme. And Ada, if you're still there, I know you don't like Christmas, but don't worry, you can join later. So 1 hour later, right after the Encontrinho, we will join on Discord a room to play games together, because this is gonna be like, yay, the YouTube week is over, so we're gonna just like play games and have fun conversation on Discord. Also on Saturday. Then next Wednesday, na próxima quarta-feira, nós temos edição número 2 do Cineminha. Cineminha is literally we are going to watch a movie together, brasileiro, filmes brasileiros, sobre Natal. So Ada, I'm sorry, mas filmes brasileiros sobre Natal. You can vote. There are going to be 5 options. You can vote for the movie. I will provide the description of each movie and the best time slot for you next Wednesday. And for those who have become YouTube members or who are supporters on Ko-fi, you can participate group lessons, Clube Iniciante for beginner level, or Clube Intermediário for intermediate level, obviously, for a very structured lesson where we explore a Brazilian song, usually, and we go over all the linguistic aspects, but also the cultural aspects behind all of these songs. So this is what I have for you in December, and I am having a lot of fun producing more content for you. E Hannah, muito obrigado, a live foi muito legal, eu me diverti bastante com o senhor Silva. Eu vou tirar foto com o senhor Silva e colocar no Instagram depois. A Zlatka ama o Natal. O tópico foi interessante. Muito obrigado, Sumini, pelo feedback. Will surely give ChatGPT a try. Yes. Keep in mind to avoid using personal info, just because maybe, oh yeah, I'm having this conversation with this person, right? Different from having a conversation with a stranger, which obviously you also shouldn't give personal information for a stranger, but just keep that in mind, that maybe the things you're saying are being stored somehow. So I would avoid very, very personal pieces of information. So just keep that in mind and have fun. It is good. It is the paradise for introverts. I like that description. Muito obrigado, gente. Vejo vocês na sexta-feira na live de Natal. E foi um prazer estar aqui com vocês hoje. Vou deixá-los e nos falamos no Discord, nos falamos por aí no resto da semana, certo? Muito obrigado e até a próxima. Tchau, tchau. Nós temos novos emojis. Eu vou mostrar os novos emojis agora. Tchau, 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 tchau.